Yo, welcome everybody. I know you're here because you're a Mopar fan, right? We got Mopar fans out there. Awesome, awesome. Who's psyched about the Hell Crate motor? That's not too enthusiastic. I mean, semi-enthusiastic. Who's psyched about the Hell Crate motor? All right. Who's planning on picking one up and putting it in their pre-76 Mopar? Anybody? There's one right there. That's good. I'm saving my pennies, that's for sure. We're about to talk to the cast of Graveyard Carz, as you can see. The boys are joining us here on stage. Mark, great to see you as always.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming over and watching.
See right there, we got Bill Harry from Mopar also, who's going to be discussing.
Yes, we want to talk about Mopars. We want to talk about the crate engine, the ease of it.
Well, first, let's start, I guess, by talking about that beautiful creation that's right over there, the Superbird Tribute.
The Superbird Tribute, yeah. So that was a fun project. Before I get started, I do want to say I apologize. I just found out last night Bill Goldberg was going to be here. Yeah. And do some autographs and hang out. So I got a text last night that Big Bill Goldberg, the wrestler, he got a cold. He got the sniffles. Right. Oh, I'm going to knock you out because I'm all this, right? Anyway, he's not going to be here because I guess he's not feeling very well.
But hey, you look good. You've been working out?
Yeah, I'm down to my fighting weight.
You could take Goldberg anyway, Mark.
I was thinking about knocking a lung loose, on him when I got here. Give him a couple combos. I wore my knockout ring in case I needed to or whatever. Anyway, yeah, he talks a good game up on the stage and in the ring and all that kind of stuff. So what I was... Oh, you... no, the different Goldberg. This is Bill. Yeah, he's going to be here. Big Bill going to be here. Bill, go over. I was just saying what a superb job you do in the ring.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you're the one that's been sick with your little sniveling head, right?
Okay, I drove 15 hours with diarrhea from Oregon to here. Y'all want a graphic of that?
So he drove
Too much information,
he drove a Hellcat powered porta potty down here.
Pretty much, yes, that's true. I am glad you're here, sir. It's good to see you.
I'll bet you're glad I'm here.
Oh yeah, I'm not worried about it. Just between you and me. Anyway, thanks.
All right.
Everybody.
So as we were saying before, Mark gave us too much information there about his trip out here.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Let's pick it back up.
For Depends.
Pick it back up for the with the Superbird Tribute Car, please.
Superbird Tribute Car was great. This team that you see sitting over here on my right really made this happen. The bolt-in was the typical kind of bolt-in. Ron provided a Magnum Force suspension for us, so we were able to run a rack and pinion and some of the later model type components like that. The connections, easy as pie, right? Making the connections to make it run was the easy part. The hardest part was trying to figure out that long, tall engine, how to get it in under the hood, and while not only being able to close the hood, that was tough, but also maintain an OEM look, because that's what we're about, right? We knew the Hellcat wasn't available in 70. But if it was, that car right there, I think, is a great representation of how it probably would have looked. We used original fasteners, original peripheral bolts and hangers underneath the hood. It's definitely a 70 Superbird Tribute car. Keep that clear. It started life as a little 383 automatic Roadrunner that was getting parted out. Tony D'Agostino gave me the cars as a donor. So we didn't bastardize a real Superbird, or whatever you want to use the term. But yeah, I guess that's the wrong term. We didn't modify a real Superbird. It's a tribute car. So anyway, yes, it went very good. How am I doing? Am I pretty much out of a job now?
Doing pretty well. No,
yeah.
you're hanging in there, Mark.
Okay.
You're hanging in there.
Career's almost over. A couple more, and I should be out of here.
And by the way, a little bit of kudos for Mark. Yesterday was the recipient of the first annual Mopar Advocacy Award, and I think that's pretty appropriate, considering what Mark and his team does. And I know you share that with your team as well.
Yes, absolutely. Everybody here has worked really hard, and it's a wonderful
Why don't you guys talk a little bit more about what it took to build that car? Mark mentioned fitting the motor into the engine bay, which was a feat amongst itself, but I know that you were really stoked that it turned over on the first try.
Oh, yeah, I was super stoked. I mean, after doing a build like that, just 3 weeks, I think, we worked just hardcore on that, getting all the wiring in, all the plumbing in. You're just exhausted. You got that deadline looming over your head that you got to get. You're just spending everything, sleepless nights. You got things going through your head, and you turn that key over, and you hear that fuel pump touch up, And as soon as it lights up, boy, you just talk about a relief. It felt like somebody lifted a piano off my head. I mean, I was just so excited, and you'll see it. You know, I mean, you saw it in the video yesterday when that thing lit up. That was genuine.
That genuine was the first time it started, and we were all we had 10 minutes to spare to be able to be here, and he hit the key, and so that was when I went all karate on him. That was what that was. So.
It was awesome. And Ron, you know, that really is the definition of plug and play, is it not?
You know, it truly is, actually. It really made it everything that Mopar did with this thing sure made it a breeze to put it in, and that actually carries back to last year when we did the CUDA. A lot of the 392 stuff carried over to the Hellcat. A lot. Now I'm going to put that in air quotes because there was still just enough that introduced just enough stress to the equation that when you're dealing with a deadline, you're thrashing to try to get this stuff together. But a lot of the stuff that Mopar provided, even based off of some of the original cars and such, was actually easily grafted into this whole project as well. So we were able to go in, and we were very easily able to go in and out multiple times with the engine and transmission assembly and sitting on the suspension. So I mean, it was just one giant assembly going in and out. But you know, headers, oil pan, we ran into a few things that were a little bit different, but in the end, it worked out pretty good.
Everybody up here on the stage knows what it's like, the SEMA thrash. And it's really a badge of honor to be able to complete that project. The clock is always ticking. 24 hours a day, you guys are wrenching on it. Goldberg, what's been your experience with past SEMAs?
Stress upon stress upon stress. At the end of the day, anything that you have, as you well know, is a representation of yourself. So in any type of presentation, especially a presentation such as this, and you know, like a Barrett Jackson, you've been through that before. I mean, you want your vehicle to represent you the best way humanly possible. I have gone over cars with Q-tips for a number of hours leading up to SEMA, and you know, it's a big thrash. But what I do is in no way comparative to what they do, because they actually get their hands dirty and get in there and do a bulk of the work. I do the cleanup work. You know, I do the little pretty. What are you laughing at? Listen to your mic.
That's
feedback.
Not me. I'm not laughing.
Mark, you told a great story yesterday about the color of the Superbird, and Will, you can jump in on this too, being the painter. Why did you choose that particular color green?
Because he's colorblind, and that's the only color he knows.
That's the biggest laugh of the day? That
So
funny,
far.
I'm colorblind? That make you happy? Okay. Yeah. Nice hair.
Will, talk about the paint process for the Superbird.
You know, I'm the only one out there that does it. We have a body shop. You know, they get all the body work done, get it over to me. It was a pretty easy color. It's a single stage. It goes on quick. But we only get a few weeks to get it done, so that way Dave
Runs
has more.
easy.
So we try to get our part done as quick as possible so we can get it over to Dave, and give him as much time as needed. But it went pretty good this time.
So Dave, are you checking in on Will's progress at all? Or are you going, come on, man, give me the car. I got work to do.
Oh yeah. I'm always back there bugging him. When he sees me come through the door, he's like, oh. You know, as soon as I come into that body shop.
Well, you never come back with good news. It's always bad.
It's always bad. It's always bad. Every time I come through there, he's thinking I scratched the car or scratched something on it.
We spend all of our time trying not to scratch the car.
Yeah, and the assembly process is the hardest part. You got to realize this is a freshly painted car, and you're putting everything on it. You know, so I mean, one little mistake.
No belt buckles allowed.
Oh man, and you're in a hurry, a slip of the screwdriver, you're done for. The car's back.
And Alyssa,
to
by the
whole
way,
process.
has been doing a lot of trying to work her way in there and prep with Will to take some load off of him out there. So I want you to know I'm proud of you for that. Stick with it. It's looking good. Superbird's beautiful. Good job.
You know, isn't Will the best Mopar painter in the world?
There's no second.
He does work for you, so you should say yes.
He can't even paint
He's
a
the
car
second best.
anymore.
He
He's the
does
second
work in
best
your
painter in
shop,
the
Mark.
world.
That's where you should say, yes, he is.
No, it's
unequivocally.
okay. I'm still alive. I am still alive. I can still pick up a paint gun and lay it out. You'll see it this
Your
season.
wrist won't allow you to hold a gun that long.
No, my wrists are fine.
It's good to know.
Yolanda, I happen to.
A little limp.
Oh, Bill.
I'm here for the comedy, please. If you haven't figured
Hey,
that
the
out-
second
just for
biggest
this.
laugh of the day, both
I'll
at
give
Mark's
you so many-
expense.
Oh my God! Don't
that
hit me with a
little-
Hemi.
Put your hand up there. Put that fist up there. Yeah, now, which one are you going to put your money on? Huh?
Bill.
The southpaw?
Bill Goldberg. Hey guys, you know, most shops are thrashing on one car to get them ready for SEMA.
True.
I called you guys up and laid another pancake on your plate and said, hey, would you guys be able to do the 392 swap on my GTX and get it ready for SEMA as well? And you guys came through in the clutch with flying colors. I mean, I could not be happier. If you guys have not
Thank
seen
you.
it, my GTX is right on the other side of this pillar right here.
Beautiful car.
I had a minor engine fire in May
He burned
of
it to the ground.
2016.
Pyromaniac.
LaValle's recreation. Of that
Yes,
fire.
and
That's
I had
pretty
Mike LaValle come up to Graveyard Carz and commemorate the engine fire with his beautiful airbrush work that he calls True Fire. In my opinion, the best airbrush artist in the world. He did a
Absolutely.
phoenix on the underside of the hood to commemorate the reemergence of the car and the motor.
Beautiful.
But talk a little bit about that project. You did it last year with the CUDA. That actually is what gave me the idea to call you guys and have you do it in the GTX. Mopar generously sponsored the build. Tell us about that build and the challenges you
wasn't
ran
that
into there.
That was the easy one, right?
That definitely was the easy one because we've done that one before.
Yeah, the more you do, repetition just breeds efficiency. And so that was the second 392 we'd installed. Ron came up, he hooked us up with all the suspension. I mean, literally, while I don't want to play it down, we might only had a week or two hands-on of that car getting it where it's ready right now. So, yeah, every time you do something different, you grow. And every time, like this, the Hellcat just was a lot more things. It was that we wanted to keep the OEM look, and there's just intercoolers and things for the supercharger that didn't exist with the 392.
Right. Yep.
But yeah, yours was easy. By the way, I know you know this because it's your car, but Chip Foose actually painted his car for him. That's a Chip Foose paint about 15 years ago or so.
That's right. In 2006, I believe we painted that car. Foose put his fade on it, designed the scallops. Mitch Lanzini at Lanzini Body Works did the paint prep along with myself and Andreas from Overhome. We pulled the vinyl top off. At that point in its life, it had a fiberglass hood, too, that unfortunately bit the dust, or maybe fortunately bit the dust in the
hold
engine
up as
fire
well.
also. And now it's got the proper GTX hood on there, courtesy of Graveyard Carz. And Will came through with those beautiful the paint inserts in the hood that kind
Thank you. Yeah, Mark, you hear that?
Those are, yeah.
Yeah.
They're,
Thank you.
He
liked
came
it.
to me. Yeah.
No, I didn't go to you
Wow.
for crap.
He came to me and said, "Mark, help me out. I don't know what to do."
No,
It's Chris Jacobs.
no,
and,
no.
I
Thank you,
want to
Dave.
I want to make sure I do it right. So I walked him out back to an original Hemi 69 GTX.
One big happy family.
Am I going to have to
Showed
sit
up.
for
it
you
is
two?
Chip Foose approved, by the way, Will. He made sure to say
Oh
that.
yeah, yeah. In fact, Chip said he wouldn't mind coming up and doing a little painting. So we'll see how that goes. Don't worry, you're fine. You're safe.
So, guys, congratulations on the continued success of Graveyard Carz, the show. I had the honor of coming up and checking out the shop and the boneyard, the graveyard of cars up there. I mean, amazing, the Mopar Museum that exists up there. It is the ultimate junkyard. Just walking around there, it's amazing. It's so cool. Talk a little bit about that, Mark.
Yeah, Chris came up, and actually he's going to be in the season coming up here. Had a fun time. He hung out long as he could. We walked around the graveyard where some of the cars are cars that I'm going to be selling on the Mopar only used car lot that I'm working on right now, developing. But most of them, probably 75% of the 100 cars out there are client cars waiting to go through the shop, and they're just the coolest cars. It's a Hemi car, Hemi CUDA here, a 446 barrel, A12 cars, Superbirds, Daytonas. They're all in kind of original or maybe second day condition. So it's like a walk back through time. It's crazy. You open the hood and there's the headers that went on the second day and the MSD ignition. Now, of course, we'll throw all those away, but back in the day, somebody threw all the original stuff on that car away to make room for that, which is crazy because now it's...
I got to say, my favorite car in the graveyard is the CUDA that's missing the J in the VIN.
Charger.
Is that right? The Charger, yeah.
69 Hemi Charger, original car, numbers car, pure as the day is long. The factory has a typo in the VIN, and they left out the fifth digit, which in 69 for a Hemi is the J. its real claim to fame. That portion is actually missing out of the VIN. It's kind of funny, of all the typos they could have had, they left the one that counted for $1 million out. So, yeah, that's probably the most interesting car out there.
For sure. And Goldberg, I know they did your 69 GTX, which was, again, inspiration for my GTX, and you were up there at Graveyard Carz, part of an episode last season. What was your experience like with these guys?
Man, I don't have enough time to explain that one, but it's like a step back in time. Walking around outside in that Mopar Graveyard is just one of the coolest things ever. I'm like a proverbial kid in a candy store, as we all are. And that's, everybody who's standing out here and everybody who's part of that gets that feeling. I got it right now. I got the hair standing up on my arms just remembering walking around and seeing all that stuff. But, getting up there and seeing the car and seeing what they were able to do to it and be part of the daily activities of hilarity. It was a great
kind of a natural comedian,
and getting them in the convertible and following that van out. Are you all right?
Goldberg's nuts.
I tried to kill him.
Serious mental issues.
I tried to kill him.
Something's wrong when you get hit in the head that many times. He's not a safe, responsible driver. That's my point.
I'm headed to Sebring this weekend to drive Mike Skinner's Craftsman truck, and yes, I am not responsible. But also, if you're there, get out of the way.
50 miles an hour.
Mark was like
50 miles an hour down Main Street, which is a 25-mile-an-hour zone. The van's trying to keep up with the cameras. And Goldberg thinks, well, it's a good time to take my hands off the wheel, reach out and cover the lens of the camera, which means you have to be within 16 inches or whatever those gorilla arms are, at 50 miles an hour down Main Street.
Was it the highest rated episode you had that year? Thank you very much.
Yeah, but oftentimes...
Thank you very much.
Death episodes get that way.
Well, we're still alive, right? Hey, I mean, it's a.
I lost a pair of underwear.
I didn't think you wore underwear. This Mopar thing is a culture. It's a way of life. It's a feeling, and these guys represent it. You and I represent it as well as anybody. It's an instant invitation to come and hang out with reality.
It's a family, it's Mopar more than any other manufacturer. I think is a family.
It's all of you.
I mean, we got the love, and we won't even look at anything else. I'd like you guys to go down the line because it is such a family feel at Graveyard Carz, and it truly is family. Go down the line and give us some behind the scenes at Graveyard Carz that we might not know about through the TV show. Dave, let's start with you. Just skip right over Mark.
Okay. Well, like Mark said too. For me, like he was talking about the Graveyard, all those cars out there, we got some amazing cars out there. But there's also some out there that are just your basic, say, a 383 Super B, but you got to realize all the stories behind those cars. I mean, we know all the people, that have those cars. I mean, some were, had passed on due to cancer. One car in particular out there was that one that burned to the ground. The owner almost died in the fire in that shop, and that's
a 71 Hemi Cuda hardtop numbers matching car.
Yeah.
That was in an explosion fire. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's amazing. It hits you right here, and I know you guys all have a passion for your builds, whether it be Ford, Chevy, or Dodges. We have that passion too, but to actually, touch base with those people and all the stories behind those cars, and we love to hear all your stories about your cars. So that's a lot of the behind the scenes for me. That's what keeps us going, keeps us driving, and that's why I love what I do. So.
I'd have to say my behind the scenes observation is, what shows up on the show quite a bit is all this hard work, maybe a little bit of drama, seldom fabricated, but drama. But the reality is the behind the scenes, these guys are all great to work with. Guys and gals.
Thank you very much.
You guys are a blast.
We feel the same way. Ron almost lost a finger trying to help me get the Superbird here on time. It's still hanging there, isn't it, buddy?
Still hanging. I promise. I promised Chris I'd wipe it all off his motor at some point.
I like it on there. The fact that your blood is on my engine, that's fantastic.
Alyssa?
So I just feel so blessed to get to work at Graveyard Carz with my dad. I mean, it's hard working for families sometimes, but at the end of the day, we have fun, and we're teaching people, and I'm here learning right along with you guys, because I was born after that era, so I have a little bit of catch-up to do.
Yesterday I told you the story about the CUDA that grew legs, and the person that was in that position that did that, he was my conduit to our clients. We have over 100 folders in the drawer, and our job is to communicate with our clients constantly to say sometimes, hey, sorry, your car's still in the graveyard, we haven't touched it yet. Other times it's moving through the shop to give them certain points, certain landmarks where their car's at. And so he did that. And so when he left, Alyssa, I want you to know, she stepped up and said, I will take that position over. And I said, it's bigger than you know, because there's a lot of people and there's a lot involved, and you have to go back and you have to figure out what's been said, what hasn't been said. Have their parts been ordered? What stage is it at? When will it go to the dipper? And she, using New World technology, I guess it's a spreadsheet, I always kept it right here, comes up and puts it all on some kind of spreadsheet with the dates they showed up and timelines that they're supposed to go out. Now it's all just, I guess it's handled. So anyway, good for her.
Good job, Alyssa.
Thank you. Yeah, good job, Alyssa.
I think one of the biggest behind the scenes thing is Mark is truly this way. Every year we come here, go to car shows, Mark must be an ass. How do you work like that? He is seriously the nicest guy and easiest guy to work with. The dancing he does with the cameras off, all of that is truly Mark, and he's great to work for.
Thank you, Will. Thank you. We're still working on a couple of moves. And our new spin-off show, Dancing with the Carz. I thought that would be kind of... See if we can get that one off the ground.
Should we take some questions from the audience, maybe? Anybody got a question for anybody in the Graveyard Carz cast? Anybody? Got a guy over here.
You mentioned how your daughter stepped up to this new position. You're a sly old fox. I think you would have done anything to get out of sorting.
That's the truth.
Yes, I think you're right. That may have been a volunteer thing from the heart to get her out of sorting nuts and bolts. She did great. There was only 2.5 million of them, and she did every single one.
And it came through on the show just how happy she was doing it.
Yeah. And that's the edited version. You saw the unedited version.
Question right behind there.
Is it true that they used to call the Hemi the elephant motor?
Do they call the Hemi the elephant?
Yeah, the elephant, that was its nickname when it very first came out. I think 64 was the first year for the 426 second generation Hemi. And because of its massive size, and if you haven't seen one in person, I guess you can't really picture it, but I'll give you an example. We build out all the drivetrains ahead of time before the cars even come out of the body and paint shop. So we have them setting on these assembly cradles. If you watch a show, you've probably seen that. If you have a 426 Hemi setting on one of those cradles next to a 440, which is bigger in cubic inches, you would not know that. It dwarfs it. It is absolutely, it looks like it's half again the size of a regular 440 because of the heads, the valve covers, and the things that make that combustion chamber up. And it got the nickname Elephant, and it stuck, and I know even Mopar uses it. So I don't know if Mopar came up with the name Elephant or if it earned that, maybe at the drag strips, and then Mopar took it on.
You mean it wasn't you, Mark?
Well, I was a little before my time. I was born in 82, so obviously.
Oh, wow. Okay.
62.
Hey,
whatever.
Mark, how many cars do you guys put out in a year? I mean, I watch the show. I don't see a lot of change in cars.
Oh, well, after Dave came on, we really stepped it up. We're probably getting between 8 and 12 a year, full-blown restorations done. Yeah. So that's pretty incredible considering we used to do one a year, one every 2 years, and there's a lot of parts and a lot of coordination to get that done. So
that was one of the really cool things to see going up to the shop were the various stages that the cars were in. There was one on every lift at some point of construction, and cleanest shop you'll ever be in, and just, I mean, it truly is a Mopar museum in there, and to be able to see those cars in the various stages and get to see the mechanicals and things like that as they're being put together was just really, really cool to see.
It's all surreal to us anymore. I mean, on a Sunday when I'm all caught up with my stuff, believe it or not, this sounds weird. I just walk around the graveyard. It sounds, I think I told you that. I'll just hang out there, pop a hood, look at it.
7 days a week.
It's overwhelming. I'm nuts.
Yeah.
So what's the car that you haven't done yet that you would like to do, or maybe one that got away?
Oh, God, Dave. We're Well, we've done just about all of them. Yeah, right. Yeah. Right now, I'm doing a '64 Dodge A100, kind of an homage to the Bill Maverick's wheel stander. Mopar gave us one of the last Mopar blocks on the planet, real second generation 426 Semi. But that's, it's obviously a fun play thing. But let's see, his was called the Little Red Wagon, and I think we decided we're going to call ours the Little Dead Wagon. But hopefully it'll be here next year at SEMA. You check it out. Mike Laval's going to do all the graphics on it, so it'll be a pretty stunning car. One of the cars that I would like to do, just because it's so unique and such an unsung little hero, is the Chrysler 300 Hearst, the 1970. They made a little over 502 or something like that. They're not worth a lot of money, so I don't expect somebody's going to come say, here's 80 grand, restore my Chrysler 300. But I might do one for myself someday.
Mark, you guys are, of course, the OEM gurus, like you did on Bill's car. But do you see the trend being what you did to the Superbird Tribute Car, what you did to my GTX? I mean, obviously, with Mopar offering these crate engines, it gets easier and more convenient to do an upgrade with a modern fuel-injected engine. Is that where it's going, do you think?
Yeah, the floodgates are open as of right now. And the cars that were missing original engines, the cars that were tribute cars before, they've just got a new lease on life because we can create more horsepower, better economy. Everything's a winner about it. And keep one thing in mind, too. The Superbird weighed about 4,000 pounds when it started life with a 440 in it. With the Hellcat, we didn't get an opportunity to weigh it, but I suspect it's around 400 pounds less weight than it would have been with that big cast iron 440 in it. It's just a great answer when you're missing the engine or you want to modernize your Mopar, keeping it alive.
Daily driver.
Yeah, and just to point out, the 440 that came out of my GTX was not numbers matching. That would have been a real tough decision to make had it been numbers matching. Yeah, wouldn't have happened. Certainly not at Graveyard Cars.
Not at Graveyard Cars, let's say that.
So a follow-up to that is, did you ever think you'd be doing what you're doing now, being Mr. OEM? I mean, that's why I sought you out, right?
Yeah, I remember.
Okay, did you first of all, did you ever think you'd be doing it? And number two, was it a hard decision?
Oh, you mean to do the show?
Not to do the show, but to start turning these things out as opposed to OEM stuff.
I'm a little rummy.
Well, you're sick. You're on Benadryl.
I am a 100% OE guy, and everybody knows that. But everything can have framework to it. And my mentality behind the framework of OEM is, listen, if it survived all these years, don't mess with it. Get it restored, get it back to the way it was. All right? Let's say a car comes along and it was their dad's car that bought it new. I would persuade or try to persuade the person to restore it in an OEM fashion. But I would understand, since they're never selling it and they're going to hand it down to their kids, if they wanted to make that change, I would just say, I very much recommend restoring the original drivetrain, pouring some oil in it, wrapping it in plastic, stick it in a corner for that someday, and then put the late model generation in it. Yeah. So there's a thought process behind every one of them, and I just keep to my moral compass where I believe it should stay. And so far, I think we're doing it. I mean,
there's obviously arguments for both sides. You mentioned, fuel efficiency, and, before the swap, I used to just, my eyes would be almost as much on the temperature gauge as they were on the road, with these.
He had a six-pack bolted in it,
yeah.
Which is, by the way, 1,350 CFM of air moving through that thing when it's full throttle. You can just see the gas tank crunch. I mean, those things did not get good
Took
mileage.
a gallon just to start it.
Yes. How much did it take to catch it on fire and burn it to the ground, would you guess?
Not that much, surprisingly.
Okay, kind of amazing, yeah. I don't know why you did that.
Hey, we're about to get these folks to come down so you can meet them, but from Mopar, we want to thank all of y'all for being here today. And one thing that I've learned is these folks do have a love for Mopar. There's a lot of paid celebrities out here, and I found out that Mark works pretty reasonably. We're paying you
candy bars in the back, which I only had a couple.
Yeah.
I had a sandwich yesterday. Yeah, God, that was good.
No, these folks are really here because they want to be here. Appreciate Bill Goldberg coming out.
I asked Bill if he'd just come out and do a Mopar roundtable, and he says, if we can talk Mopars, I'll be there. We never talked money. We never talked any. I think he's on his own dime. So, I mean, that's Chris Jacob same thing. He's got 100 gigs. I'm sure the second we're done here, he's across the aisle. But he just volunteered to do this for us. And we do it because
happily
we love what we do, but we know you love it. I mean, if you look at our social media, Mopar guys are nuts and gals. I mean, they're committed to the brand like no other. Last year, I met a guy that had a Pentastar tattooed on his tooth. I got a picture of it on my phone. It's like, what kind of commitment is that? I'm not doing that. But everybody you see up here is committed. And we would say it no matter what stage we were on. So don't flatter yourself. We would say it, and I do, everywhere in the world. We love our Mopars.
We really appreciate it. Everybody give him a round of applause.
Thanks, everybody.
You guys come on down. You guys come on down so the fans can meet you.